Okay. Judith, I think we can start, and in the meantime, more people will connect, but that's fine.
Okay, great. So good morning, everyone. My name is EUnet4DBP, and I have the great pleasure to chair this session today. I will share my screen. I have prepared the agenda. So yeah, welcome again. Now we are starting our EUnet4DBP talk, which is about new projects on digital building permit. And as you see, we have a full agenda today, and therefore we don't have to waste time. So I will say a few words on the introduction on the EUnet4DBP in the beginning, and I also then I would like to show you already which project we will get an insight today, like the ARKCON project and CHEK, BRISE Vienna. Then we have an update from the buildingSMART International Regulatory Room. We have a presentation from the RAVAPro project and also from the DigiChecks project. So we have a 10-minute session, so a presentation. So please make sure you're on time. And afterwards, we will have a few minutes or a little bit more to discuss all the questions and give comment and everything. So yeah, very important to mention and to remind you that this session will be recorded and published on YouTube and at our EUnet4DBP website. You can find the link here, and yeah, so yeah, as you may know, the EUnet for digital building permits was funded or founded in, I think, in 2020, mainly by Francesca Noardo, Silvia Mastrolembo Ventura, and Giada Malacane. And yeah, now we are a huge group, and once in a while we have some activities, publishing and papers, but also have sometimes such talk like we have today. And we are sharing frequently in like 3 or 4 times a year our work, our research, and also practice experience we may have. And yeah, and then right now a lot the digital building permit topic, it's getting more and more important in research, but also in practice. And I think this is also the reason why we have such a lot of projects today we can present. And yeah, and I think we can already start with the first project, which is one of the Horizon Europe project, which is called ARKCON, and it's presented by Rita, Lavikka, by VTT. And Rita, good morning. The stage is yours.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, can you see it?
Rita, we can see your screen, but your mic, I don't know if it's not working that good or it's just a problem for me.
No, it sounds bad for everybody, I think. It's kind of over amplified.
Yes, it's too loud.
Yeah.
Too loud. Just a second, I'll reconnect. So now
Not better.
better. Interesting. I never had this problem before. Should I start from someone else then, and I'm going to fix this door.
Okay. Yeah, then let's switch to the next presentation, which is also a Horizon Europe project, is CHEK, and it's presented by Francesca Noardo by OGC. Francesca.
Thank you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I will present this project. This is our Horizon Europe project. Its name is CHEK, and I have coordinated the writing of the project. Now the formal coordination is at TU Delft with Jan Tinsdotter in the 3D Information Group. And the slide, good. Yes, sorry. I apologize for this. I started with the wrong one. So yeah, happy to be here. In my presentation, I will say some words about the project details themselves. Then I'll introduce the consortium. I'll show you the concept of this project and the planned toolkit that we would like to develop and produce within these 3 years. So the name of the project is Change Toolkit for Digital Building Permit. It is an Horizon Europe project on the call on digital building permits itself. Yes, the approximate budget is 5 million. It will run 3 years it has started in October 2022, so last month. It includes 19 partners involving some of the standardization organizations such as OGC and buildingSMART. And it's also quite related to the EUnet4DBP because many of the partners are part of the network itself. This is the consortium associated more or less at the value chain of the project. So we have a rather various consortium which is multidisciplinary and also intersectoral, because we needed all the components, all the points of view to develop some solutions actually working in practice. So this was our goal. We will start from collecting the requirements, both from the construction companies and from the municipalities, so the building authorities that will manage the building permitting procedures. We'll translate these requirements from the regulations and laws and the user requirements into BIM and GIS requirements, so data requirements, but also procedures and analysis methods and so on. And after that, we'll standardize them and implement software that are able to manage such standardized solutions. This will be part of a toolkit. Together with this, we'll also work on the procedures and on the process, and we'll try to assist municipalities and stakeholders in making this change towards digitalization. For doing this, we'll provide some tools and we'll provide a big part of education and training. We have some municipalities which are directly involved in the project. They are partners of the project. They are in Portugal, Italy, and the Czech Republic. And as I will explain you later, we'll try to involve more municipalities and stakeholders via the Czech community of practice. This is the concept of the project. So we started with a rather bottom-up approach. We could see that there were issues hindering a smooth development and uptake of digital building permits in practice. They were related to the process, to interoperability, which is not reached many times, the need of skills and developments, some knowledge gaps, technology, which is mostly there for the checks in some cases, but there is a lot of need for interoperability and development of interoperable data and standard data support. And finally, all municipalities are different one from the other, and they have different needs, and therefore we need something which is very flexible and can adapt very fast and quite flexibly to each municipality's need, not only country to country, but really town to town. Things are different and needs some tailor-made things. So we'll develop these solutions that will be collected in such a toolkit for the advantages that we all know. And this is the toolkit that I will now detail a bit more. So we'll have something on process digitalization, interoperability, upskilling and reskilling, technology, and finally scalability. So about the process digitalization, we'll empower public officers. So we'll start from municipalities' process requirements, and we'll really work in strict collaborations with them. From these, we'll try to draw a new digital building permit process map that's as closest as possible to the ones now running, but that can be translated and can have advantage of the new digital tools which are available and will be developed. It will be supported by a process management platform, so allowing to manage all the process digitally. And we'll also provide a virtual assistant for managing the change within municipalities, because we can see that it's very hard from a traditional setting, paper-based, and very strong within the municipality to change the approach and the vision and the customs of municipalities. So we'll try to support them in this way. Second tool with regard to interoperability, we need first of all to align requirements between the different parties. So from the regulations, municipalities, the implementations needs, we need to consider them. We need to consider standardization. So we'll try to provide that by developing regulatory information requirements, by analyzing the regulations and formalizing them. Standard-based data models, so based on ILC and CTGML, so buildingSMART and OGC standards. And together with the specifications, we'll also provide some data validity supporting tools, being them validators or processing tools for the data exported, because we could see that one of the issues was also the production of suitable standardized data. And finally, we have a rather strong part on the GeoBeam conversions and integration, which is critical for checking some kind of regulations. About the upskilling and reskilling part, we'll try to build a multidisciplinary knowledge base and a glossary that could be a reference for communicating effectively within the project and within the use case itself. And we'll develop two kinds of training. One, it will be very practice-oriented, so how to use the tools immediately and how to do it, and a more technical scientific training, which is also including the higher level concepts which are behind this technology and these solutions that we'll provide. About the technology, we could see that technology is already mostly there, most of the times, for analyzing BIM and the 3D city models. We'll develop them further in order to automate the process more, also by the use of standards, and especially we'll care the interoperability of the different components that have to cooperate within the final tool. And for example, open APIs and open APIs will be a critical part of it. Finally, we care scalability. So we need to demonstrate that our solutions work in all the municipalities we have in the project, but we would like also to involve more case studies within this CHEK community of practice. More information will come soon, but we would like to involve more building authorities, but also other kinds of stakeholders, in order to double check that the information we get as input, first of all, to base our developments of, so for example, interviews and questionnaires and workshops that we'll do at the beginning, but also to give some feedback on the solutions that we will provide later, to test that they are good for them as well, and they can work for most of municipalities in Europe. So this is more or less our goal. And yeah, with respect to scalability, we'll also provide, we have a good connection with standardization organizations. So we provide some standards and the best practice documents, and a modular open API-based architecture for the software. And I conclude here. So we'll have a very practice-based approach, starting from the practice, going higher level with the developments, and testing back with them to provide feedback and improve. And we aim to provide this for all European municipalities and other stakeholders involved in the digital building permits. We'll do it with respect to digitalization, scalability, and interoperability, and with respect to all the points of process, data, technology, and people. And thank you for your attention.
Yep. Thank you, Francesca. As I said, we will wait for questions until the end. And now, Rita, how is it working now?
Yeah, so I made some changes. So
sounds great. Perfect.
Okay. All right. So I'll start sharing. But is it so now that you can't see my picture for some reason?
Not yet.
Yeah, that's weird. So now that's stopped. Let's see. I'll switch that. Okay, now it should be.
Yeah, perfect.
And just a second.
Looks good.
Okay, perfect. Sound and image.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So hello everyone. So I am Rita Lavikka. I'm a senior scientist from VTT, Technical Research Center of Finland, and I am the coordinator of Accord Horizon Europe project. And this is a sister project to CHEK project that was just presented by Francesca. And our acronym ACCORD comes from Automated Compliance Checks for Construction, Renovation, or Demolition Works. And this project also runs for 3 years. We started 1 month earlier, so we started 2 months ago in September. Okay. This is a kind of a high-level maturity model towards digital building permitting and automatic compliance checking. So right now, many European countries are still in this manual phase, let's say so. So building permitting is really much based on PDF exchange, even through emails and so all that. And Accord tries to further develop the situation towards digital, which means that we would use more open BIM and reuse public data as much as possible, do all sorts of visualization that you can use your BIM model, and of course analysis. And this automatic phase is something that hopefully will come in a couple of years, and that will require some interoperability, so using open APIs for data exchange and machine readable regulation and all that. And so we are somewhere there in our project. Okay, this is kind of an overview of our project background. So we see that in all countries we should have a BIM-based building permit process that works, that you have a single interface for both the building permit applicant, which usually, at least in Finland, is the main architect. And the single interface is also used by the building authorities. And of course, this should be human-centric and resource-efficient, cost-effective, and all that. And in our project, we will focus on this rule formalization and creating a kind of a semantic framework that allows computers to do this data exchange as efficiently as possible, but also maintaining the human in the loop, that those that are experts in those building permitting issues can focus on those critical issues, not focus on those that computers can make automatically. There are certain things that can be checked, but humans and authorities can focus on those more difficult issues. So yeah, and with these kind of cloud-based microservices, you could do in the background all kinds of calculations and simulations and analyses that can help humans to build a better built environment for all of us. Okay. This is about our expected results. So the same way as CHEK project, so we will focus or start from this kind of basis for sustainable digital transformation. And in our project, we think that we need this kind of a semantic framework for both processes and rules and data and tools. Then we also need to think about the processes. So the processes that those building permit applicants and authorities are involved, how those should work. And then we try to integrate already existing microservices. But we will also develop one new tool from scratch. And that's a tool that tries to help the authorities to create machine readable rules. So that is something which hopefully will come in the future, so that we will write our regulation both so that computers can read them, but also, of course, that we humans understand them. And we will also validate our results in real-life construction projects. So in Finland and Estonia, we will focus on environmental compliance issues, but also some other issues. For example, in Finland, we will also consider accessibility issues. And currently, we are actually modeling the as-is building permit processes in Finland, and we will do the same task in each demo country. So in Germany, we will focus on industrialized timber housing, UK focusing on steel modular house components, structural integrity especially, and in Spain about urban regulations. And we will also try to come up with really good suggestions for this digital transformation in Europe. But also, as we have companies involved, we need to think about these business models, that how this open BIM will allow create more tools and create business out of all this. Then about our project consortium. So we have 21 organizations involved. We have 8 research organizations, 6 companies, and then associations, 2 cities, and a ministry. So I think quite good coverage of organizations. And when thinking about how our project goes kind of beyond state of the art, it's something that comes when we combine various disciplines. So of course we will have BIM-based building permitting, but also semantic modeling, automated code checking, and then this part that tries to digitalize regulations and requirements. So when we try to combine all these, we come up with novel ways to to do this digitalization. Then, as Francesca already told, there are various stakeholders involved in building permitting, and I only have, let's say, the main partners here: the permit applicant, building control authorities, software developers and legislators, and all of them have various needs when we try to digitalize these processes. So we should think through all those needs and come up with solutions that benefit all partners, and some of these needs are quite specific and need a lot of technical development, and these have to be considered. And this is just our project consortium's logo, so maybe it's easier to spot some companies or organizations that you are probably already collaborating with. And you will hear more about our project in the coming months, and you can already follow us. We have a web page and also active in social media. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rita. Very interesting. Yeah, we're also already looking forward to your results as well. So thank you. We will wait for the question until the very end of the session. And now I'm happy to give this stage to TU Wien in Vienna, to Harald Urban and Christian Schranz, who will introduce us to their project, which is called BRISE Vienna. Harald and Christian, are you there?
Yes, but the question is buildingSMART International BIM Zertifizierung in Rome. I think you need some time. Maybe we can one project before.
Okay, all right. So then the next, let me share my screen so you can follow up. So yeah, the next one would be an update from the buildingSMART International Regulatory Room about the project regulatory information requirements presented by Tomi Henttinen. Tomi, are you there? And already ready? Tomi? Yeah, great. I can see your screen, but I cannot hear you. We can't hear you, Tomi.
Okay, now it's better. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, please. The next 10 minutes are yours.
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Tomi Henttinen. I'm a member of the buildingSMART International Regulatory Room, and I'm also leading a project which is called Regulatory Information Requirements. This is a project that started 1.5 years ago. We've been moving quite slowly, but at the moment we are moving a bit more fast. Couple of things before I go to what we do. We see in the regulatory room, we see that building permits, they are a key process. We did a study a couple of years ago about the common permit phases, and part of that we noticed that the building permits is kind of the only globally common process in construction. So it's kind of a key to everything, basically, what we have in the use of BIM, for example. A couple of things about how I see, because there was for example, Rita mentioned earlier about electronic and digital. Here in Finland, we are already using the electronic form, but electronic means it's just a kind of really close to paper. And so PDF is an electronic, but it's a human readable format. And the goal for regulatory information project, regulatory information requirements project, is to make possible the transition from the electronic format to a digital format. So so that we have the information in a form that machines can read it, and in that way we can automate the processes within the building authority. The scope of our project is basically we are focusing into the authorization or the approval processes. So we have the concept and zonal approvals, then the technical design and construction approvals, and then approvals to occupy. These vary a little bit from country to country. So, for example, in Finland, we don't have that many steps or phases in the actual official permitting, but at the same time, you can identify these kind of different aspects in our process as well. We have set kind of there's two ways to harmonize data, or there's two kind of fields of data harmonization. First of all, the first one is very technical, so where and how the information is stored, and the second one is more kind of how we use the information. So how is the information used and what information is needed. And in the regulatory information requirements project, we are handling this. So we have basically the technical layer. Of course, we rely heavily on IFC. That's the core of buildingSMART in general. And on top of that, we have lots of different like property sets, properties, local, international, and then we have the buildingSMART data dictionary, which can connect those local and international properties and property sets. And beyond that, we have in the technical layer also national and international coding systems and classifications. And buildingSMART has just introduced this new standard called IDS, which we are going to study how we can use that in setting up the goals. Above that, the technical layer, we have then the guidelines and then the purposes, how is the information used and what information is needed. And there we are using the IDM method for explaining or defining the use cases. So for the use cases, so we have split those different phases of the building permitting to use cases. We have the first kind of use case is the project information and identification. So basically, to understand where your project is, the information that is traditionally in the title blocks, the name of the designer, the site, the address, things like that. The second use case is life safety. So basically, the safety and health of the building, and there we can find different aspects such as structural aspects, fire and safety, and then accessibility. And then the last package, the last use case which we are going to focus. And now when I say going to focus, we are on the technical side. So through these use cases, we kind of we try to make sure that IFC has enough standard properties and standard, so that our IFC that through IFC we can deliver this information. So this is our goal, that we make sure that the IFC is good for these use cases. And in the last use case, we have the kind of the building performance things, environmental impacts. Of course, that's a big topic at the moment. Energy sources, heating, cooling, carbon footprint, embedded carbon, and maybe also demolition and waste. But like I said, we are focusing into the technical side of these things, and then these are just kind of the information for us, or these are kind of a background initial information for us, that what information is actually needed. So that's me. Any questions?
Thank you, Tomi. Yeah, the same here. We will wait for questions until the end of the session. And yeah, I think Christian is arrived, and we can now watch the presentation of TU Wien. Christian and Harald, the stage is yours for the next 10 minutes.
Thank you. Hello to everyone from Rome. I think Harald is in Vienna. I hope so, at least.
Yes.
You see my presentation?
Yes.
So this is the project BRISE Vienna, where we worked in an EU-funded research project on building a complete open BIM submission and approval process. And we first designed this kind of maturity level of the building submission process, where you say, level 0 is nothing digital, it's like the old way, and level 1 is at least that you submit digital data like PDF files, whatever. We're not talking about open BIM or BIM models at all. And we see that in several communities, this is the first big step to make that right, to make it legally right. And then the step we are looking at in Austria is the integration of open BIM models, and to make the submission, communication, and everything model-based. So how far are we now? It's based on 3 different kind of models. We have the architectural model in level of information 300, which we call BAM, the building application model. We have the checking model, where everything comes together. MA37 is, as we call, the building police in Austria. It's actually the building authority which checks all the buildings. And then we have a reference model, REM, and we have a model which, unfortunately, when we choose the name, was not a little bit smart, because it's called AIM, and AIM is also the asset information model in OpenBIM, but in this one is the application information model. We always tell the building authority why she should use OpenBIM. Of course, it's first, it's no restriction, and of course, the IFC data structure makes it long-term use, and building authorities have to be able to use the files like the old plans for long term. And we always show like the Revit file in a text editor, and you can see pretty much nothing. You can read it, but if you use the IFC file, you can work with that even in 100 years, as long as the file is not corrupt and you can use it, you can read it, you can make an IFC editor. So the building application model has to include all the information we need from a geometric information point. And so we were going through the Austrian standards, and you see WBO is the Viennese building code. And we were looking at all the different paragraphs and say, for what do we need which information, and which of them are IFC standard, which of them are already defined by buildingSMART Austria, which is buildingSMART AT, and which we had to put in new parameters, new properties, whatever, to include this information. The next model is the reference model. The building application model is the model the architecture is doing, and the reference model is when you look at the plan and you look at the construction side, then you have information how big your building can be, all the dimensions which are allowed by the regulations. And so what we make is like a surface model of the allowed model, you could say, you know, of the plan. And this reference model is done at the building authority. And the third one, because you cannot put all the information you need for an approval process, is the A model, the application information model, where you have extra information. In Austria, you have specifically some extra information. For example, you have a text attached to your plan, to the construction plan, to this plan where it defines how you can build and how high your building can be. And it says, for example, you have to have a flat roof, and 1/3 of this flat roof has to be has to be a green roof. And this information you cannot put in as a geometrical information because it's not here yet. And so we read the text out. We use an artificial intelligence to search for certain parameters in the text and give this information to the BIM model, to the reference and aim model. This is the way it, as we graphically show, okay, you have a roof, it has to have this certain inclination, different height, and so on. And this information, which is just provided as a text and not in a geometric form, can be used then. And then we put all together in the checking model, and you see like the architectural model, the surrounding model, the surface model, and the aim, and the checks are starting. And we have different kind of checking routines. First, before I talk about it, we checked all the building law in Austria, and we found out that about 434 paragraphs can be used for checking. And some of them have to be created completely new. Some of them can be used in a, programmed in, we use Solibri, by the way, in this case, and can be used in Solibri, but you have to use the API of Solibri. And so we were cracking a lot of that. And this is the building law checking, and in the structural checking routines, we added a total of 1,222 paragraphs for the checking. How does these rules look like? We have three different kind of rules. We provided, the one is the automatic checking rule, so you automatically get a result. Then you have a semi-automatic, you get a result, but there needs to be a decision by the officer. At the end, the officer all the time, because of legal purposes, has to sign it or have to improve it. And there are some supporting checking rule where the graphics of the BIM model helps the officer to make a decision. For example, an automatic checking rule is, you know, there's like a balcony, and in Austria there are certain rules how the balcony can be above the alignment lines, and how much it is allowed and which height. This can be done automatically. Harald will also show you after some rules we programmed, which also automatic. Then one rule, for example, is if you have a bathroom or and like a room where you have where there could be water in the room, well, then you need insulation. And so this one shows the rooms which are like bathrooms, toilets, and so on. And then it also shows, is there an insulation below that or not? And the supporting rule would be, for example, to show all the load-bearing construction. And is this visible? Extra to this graphical rule or graphical representation, of course, you need a pre-static, but this is something different. But the officer at the first point can say, yeah, it looks reasonable. And then I look at the static document. And now we come to the programming. We want to show you some rules we were using, or we were programming completely new. And now it's Harald's turn in Vienna.
Hey, hi. So we have also programmed our own test checking rules in this European research project using the Solibri API in Java. Solibri, I don't know who can know this software. Solibri have about 50 templates that you can use for the checking. And in this project, we programmed 25 additional templates, which massively extended the functionality. For example, checking the height of the fall protection of the window. In Vienna, this depends on the height of the fall. So we have in each window, we have to look how the height of the fall to check the height of the length between the window and the covering. Okay, the next verification is the verification of a window can be used for exposure verification by means of vertical and horizontal building. So we are looking, is there a building between this window? The next is I like this rule because this is very time expensive to check it on the plan. This is the exposure verification of window areas, which depends on the deep and the area of the space. So when I'm in my student time, I work in a building authority, and I have with a linear to look the deep of the space, and with this rule we can automatically full automatically check it with one with the start of the checking routine. And
Harald, just to add one information, for example, the law in Austria is for a main room where you can stay and live, you have to have at least 10% of the area has to be a window area. And this window area, as we saw just before, has to have certain geometric information of the building next to it, so that really the sun can come into the room. So sorry.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, and when the space are deeper than 5 meters, you have 10% more from about the 10%. Yes, and the most complex rule development is the escape route simulation and testing. And 90% of all paragraphs in Vienna, we can with this rule can we automatically check it. And the next step, we want to generate from these rules a new IFC file, which are the escape routes included. So the project has now been running for 3 years, and we will be completed in March next year. We're therefore already in the final phase, in the pilot phase. We means we have now certain real submission. They use the OpenBIM submitted and checked it. And at the same time, we have created 10 test models in different authoring software to see what are the problems or what are easy for this software. And according to, and with these models, we're testing the rules and evaluate it and make it better, because but these are about 2,000 checking rules that we have. There is some problems, so we tested and make it better the checking rules. Yeah. Yes, and
Harald, one also thing which we did is at this time we also checked the software. So we have ARKCON, Revit, and Outplan, and we are writing a report about which of the properties are not exported in a real IFC standard, and where did we have problems, and how could we solve that?
Yes, yes, and after the complementation of the project, it will then be offered in the operation phase. So the project also developed an AR tool for inspection and construction. Yes, we have some paper. I would go to the next slide because we have not many time. So yes, the pace, how we did it, we have at first we have a process analysis, we have a PPMN diagram, and I'm very proud that we have on the all 3 years we have actual this PPM process, and then we defined the requirements that are legal matter. So we have defined the LOE, level of information, level of geometry for each model. Yes, and this is the OpenBIM submission process in this project. So we are now in level 2. And the next step is for us in the next project is level 3. So you have seen we used KI, AI, and traditional intelligent, but this is workaround. In the next step, we would like to the legal text automatically parametric, so we can easier check the legal text without a workflow. Yes, we use this diagram because many authorities in Austria can see, okay, I'm level 1, I have a PDF submission, and Vienna researched in level 2 what I need. And this is for us very easy to show, okay, what are the next steps to implement EFC and OpenBIM in the submission. Yeah. So
I think this model-based development plan would also be in combination of REM, of the reference model, and the application information model, because then you have it all in one.
Yes, because the reference model is a little bit hard to generate it, and there are some you have to check it every time, and it's easier when you have in level 3 this automatically in a 3D reference model when you decide from the authority. Yes, we have we have some publication about the project. You are welcome to write to us. We will send you to the documentation, or I have uploaded in the Dropbox. So there you can find it. Yes.
And we have to say, unfortunately, we're working together with EUnet in a big group to make an overview of the European submission process, which I think would be a big step. Thank you. And we're a little bit over time. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christian and Harald. Yeah, also the same here. We will wait until the end for questions and comments. And now it's Anna-Riitta's turn, and she will get us some insight from the RAVAPro project. Anna-Riitta, are you there?
Yes,
Great.
just one moment. I have to share my screen, and hi for everyone.
Hi.
There's is it allowed that I will share my screen? There's an option that one participant can share at the time, or advanced sharing options.
Douglas, can you help?
Yeah, yes, you can share now because we are closed.
Okay.
Just click the share screen, the big button.
Okay, the green one. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Here, I believe that you now can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Great. The stage is yours.
Yes, thank you. I'm here today to present this our Finnish project RAVA3, and which we are making the automatic checking process developments and IFC requirements, and also the process of the BIM-based building permit in Finland. And here is our municipalities that are with us, 23 municipalities. City of Helsinki is the leading municipality of this project, and there's a different size of municipalities, small ones. And...
Sorry to interrupt, but I think the slides are not changing for us.
Okay, how will I manage to do that?
Can you switch in PowerPoint to the presentation mode?
Yeah, I think that Is there now seeing something? Logos? Better. Yes. Okay. Sorry. This Zoom meetings. It's not very common in my life, so I try to manage this. But there's 23 municipalities, and some of them are really small ones, and there's a few of middle ones and few of the large ones of municipalities, and they are different level of the maturity to use the IFC files in the BIM-based building permit issues. Some of them have no experiments at all. Some of have done a few pilot projects, and some of those have been making this real building permit process via IFC files, like a city of Järvenpää, for example. And then we are collaborating with the Ministry of Finance of Finland, who is giving us money and development money for that. And then, of course, the Ministry of Environment is collaborating us with this new requirements and combining these results also for the new law that we are going to have. And then we have this Association of Finnish Municipalities, who is helping us with this collaboration between different municipalities, not only with these 23, but many others that will benefit this national level results that we are making. And then we are collaborating also with BTD, our national research organization, that Rita is also here. And this Finnish this environment association, this it's belonging to Ministry of Environment, this CHEK that you see below this slide. And what we are doing, we are making requirements for the IFC files that we need, not only the architectural model, but also the structural models and the HVAC models. And we are making also the checking rules for that, for IFC checking rules. And it's going to be national level rules that everyone can use that. And we are first to make those rules for Solibri, but because we want to check this automatically and make the pilot for that, of course, we are taking other softwares that we can check this automatization phase. And then we are also developing the use cases, the IFC requirements, the use cases, and the checking rules, and then the whole process, because it's a new thing that we would have this automatically checking process in the building permit process. And also we are trying to get the municipalities to increase their BIM maturity level and so that they can be a strong partner to national development of BIM-based process, not only this building permit issues, but all the BIM-based process that we are having in Finland. And we are also thinking about this information exchange and communication platform, which is cloud-based, that is connecting to national built environment information system, that we could have this information collect in there, and we can use that in national level also. So this is basically that we are doing, and at the moment we have working on with the IFC requirements for the architectural models, and we have some pilot models for some smaller part of that. This is the minimum information about the buildings, and which is the national level minimum that our government-based organization need from the building. We are testing that how we could read from IFC this attribute information that is in the certain location in the IFC file. And we would like to read this via this kind of building permit platform that are in our case it's a cloud permit, or it's a simple cloud locus cloud that we are using. And the software that is reading will compare this information to this platform, that we can see that what is the information that this third-part software have been reading out our IFC files. We also are making this kind of software that which is SaaS-based, which is going to check this IFC files coordination information, that is that right, and modifies that if the coordination of the IFC file is totally wrong, then the modification part is going to make this at the place that it should be, the building. And after that, we are going to make something process development for that we could automatically move these IFC files to the city models, that we could making easier way to see this our IFC files of the building to this 3D city models, that how it's going to look in the environment that the building is going to be. That is our state of art at the moment. But we will make some progress of this other topics also in early next year and spring in next year. So I think that we will have another meeting with this group of people that are here today, and we can share ideas more when we proceed our development project. But thank you for my side. There was 10 minutes, I assume, so I try to keep this shortly.
Great, Anna-Riitta. Yeah, thank you. Even less, but even better. So thank you very much. And now, last but not least, we have the DigiChecks project. It's presented by Ignacio Rincòn. So I'm not sure if I pronounce correctly. Apologize for that. And he is from FCC. Ignacio, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone.
Great.
Thank you for the introduction. And you have pronounced perfectly. Let me try to share my screen. Please let me know when you can see it. Not yet, I guess.
Now it's working. Great. The stage is yours.
Okay, presentation mode. Takes a while. No, there we go. Well, thank you for the invitation, first of all, in name of FCC and DigiChecks. My name is Ignacio Rincòn. I'm a technical coordinator for DigiCheck project. But I'm based on Amsterdam because I'm working for FCC as digital manager for our infrastructure project here in the. So I would like to start the presentation starting with why we are here. I think all parties or everyone in the meeting or in the presentations, we are here for the same reason. I think there is more than known that the construction industry has a lack of digitalization. If we look towards other industries, and I think it's a gap that we are working to try to reduce. Right? I think, as it has been said before, the technology is there. I think we should be able to take it and know how to implement it in our industry. Previously, before we presented projects, there are several initiatives or platforms that already existing with the same mindset. From GaiaX International Data Space Association or INSPINES, for instance, European base. And one of our reference to develop DigiCheck is the Horizon Project 2018 to the DigiPlace to define a reference architecture framework for the construction industry. So DigiCheck project is a consortium of 13 companies from different countries of Europe. From Belgium, Netherlands, France, Austria, and Spain. And we have started our project, I think it was July 1st, so a little bit earlier than the others, from the same Horizon project. And well, in this kickoff meeting, we have defined our 4 principles as we all understand how DigiCheck should be developed. Okay, so the DigiCheck project is, or the goal is to create and demonstrate a new digital framework to allow interoperability and communication between platforms based on technology and international initiative, as I already mentioned, to facilitate management of construction project, including compliance check. Okay, so our principle, the first principle, I think a little bit different from the other presentation, is our framework is a federated ecosystem rather than a centralized monolithic application. So we are trying to, or we understand then we move away from the concept of a central platform or central storage. It's more like a network. Our second principle is the framework allows a modular and scalable approach. I think for the CHEK project or ARKCON project, they mentioned something similar. And it should be flexible enough to fit in any of the countries or municipalities as they have different way of working. So it should be modular and flexible enough to be able to module their existing process to fit in our platform, or sorry, in our framework. Principle number 3 is the framework uses a shared set of conceptual information models. That's mean ontology. It's something that we are starting working already at the beginning of the project, the first 6 months. And principle 4 is data is generated within the framework. Construction project data rules compliance report is formalized by open and widely accepted standards, including W3C. So that means we should define a standard language for all the different technologies or countries to be able to interchange that information that we are talking. I will explain, or how are we going to develop this DigiCheck when we have defined 4 principal steps. First one is to standardize the permit ontology. So it's to create a shared language between all the permitting. This language formalized in a permit ontology enables the framework to map data from various sources. Second step is digitizing permit process. So in a way to develop enough technology to the final user or the authority be able to model their process instead of changing everyone the way of working. Third step will be the building permit rules. So also I think they have mentioned some kind of software like Solibri, etc. So it's to be able, based on the technology, to define some rules to be able to create some kind of validation of those predefined rules based on not just on BIM models, but also on general databases. And fourth step is, well, through an API, integration of the various previous step in a permit service API. So everyone through the API should be able to connect to our network to be able to interchange that information. So objectives and ambition. Our ultimate objective is to provide flexibility, easy to use, efficiency to the permit validation approval system. As I mentioned before, regardless of the country, region, or municipality, implement a new form of exchanging information. And of course, in the way to be able to do this checking validation. And this project is going to be demonstrated in 3 pilot projects. Will be in Spain, in UK, and Austria that I will show later on. So the key idea or the concept of DigiChecks will be, this is a network of the, let's say, the industry construction network. So we are developing the permit ontology, digitizing permit process, building permit rules, and permit service API to be able to connect those different dots existing in the industry. So it's the very simple way to explain, let's say, is to share or to be able to send the data from A to B. And of course, broker services in between to be able to validate that information. And on top of that, the idea is to have some services, some modules to be able to add additional value to the system. That could be a service of process modeling, compliance check based on BRMS, Business Rule Management System, for instance, also IA based, geometry engine. So that means that a visualization through a digital twin or VR, or connector to existing database. So that means possibility to connect Cadastre, Inspire, or other kind of database. These are just some of them, and we're thinking to be able to provide additional services to additional service than these ones. So in a very conceptual idea, what we are simplifying just to one step, the checking validation. we identify 4 objects in the validation. That means we have requirement, we have a object. In that sense, each of the requirements should have a level of maturity in the subjects too, and we will do a compliance. So it's mapping or trying to connect both parts. What is the requirement? What's the subject? And we will create a verification that will apply or comply with this, or guarantee that this verification is up or not. Impact. Oh, basically, we consider the impact is going to be all Europe-wide, but to the different public authorities, project owners, construction companies, not just the authorities, but all the stakeholders. Also, one of the concepts we would like to share is that we are considering the DigiCheck an option to be able to connect, for instance, main contractor with the subcontractors, not just through the authorities. So it will be able also to define some kind of rules to validate information between actors, not always through the authorities. And finally, this is the 3 projects we are going to validate. This FCC construction will have a UK infrastructure project. We have a second project in Spain. This Realia is a housing building, and we have a third project in Austria from Tree. It's a prefab, prefabricating industry project. It's a main contractor in Austria. We will validate our third project in that project in Austria. And that's it from my side.
Great, thank you very much. I'm perfectly in time. So we have more or less 10 minutes left for questions and comments, and I will try to coordinate everything. So are there any questions or comments to all the presenters we have seen today? Please raise your hand, and I will try to coordinate. Antero, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks from my behalf, and thank you for the presentations. My question is about hearing about all these big projects that are interconnected somehow, as I see, and they share the same goals. My question relates to collaboration between these projects in order to create synergies and address this very systemic situation. Would it be possible to think about joining forces in the piloting efforts, as we heard that the projects are doing several piloting efforts and so testing empirically these new solutions. So the question is to how to share these results from the piloting phases, and might it also be possible to create possibilities for learning for the practitioners from these pilots also. So how to create mechanisms for collaborating between the pilots in the projects.
Well, I can start answering. First, about the piloting and learning what we will learn. The CHEK project itself has this mechanism, like the training developments that will be completely open to anyone. So the training sessions will be open for participation, not only within the project, but from any people in Europe or outside the consortium. And with the CHEK community, we also would like to extend the testing of our solutions outside our consortium. So anyone also participating to other projects and other initiatives can volunteer, let's say, can see our solutions, test them, and try to see if they work for them, how they relate to their own solutions, and report back to us in a way that we can really connect better to each other. And with respect to other projects, I think that we already have some good relationships. For example, with Accord, OGC is involved in both, so we are already trying to find good synergies and develop something which is consistent during the project. And we have some plan to exchange in the future also on the solutions. And from the CHEK project, we are totally open for collaboration, and I think it would be beneficial for everyone and for the final solutions to provide results that can be interchanged and that they are not completely inconsistent with each other, if possible, of course.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Well, from Accord side, I can say that we are also creating some educative webinars, which will be open to all. And so we will let you know more when we have something ready. And as Francesca said, so I hope, for example, that this your kind of platform could also be one way to share and exchange ideas also during the processes, but of course sharing the results as well later on. Yes.
From our side, also I think it's part of the project is a dissemination part that we should communicate. Also we have the advisory boards to have like a feedback, and there's a part of the project that is in charge of the communication and dissemination. I think Ruben is in the room, or he was. He's part of the team also in charge of this part if he wants to add something. And also I guess all those projects are going to be published in the final stage by the European Committee. So it will be accessible by everyone, I guess.
Okay, any other comment?
I just have one little thing, that the dissemination and the collaboration is in fact a specific task within our project. So we're looking forward to collaborate.
Okay, great to hear.
Yeah.
Christian.
I don't know if Tomi Henttinen wants to ask a question or wants to add something to this.
Yeah, well, basically just to what I already said in my presentation, but just to duplicate the message that because buildingSMART is the organization that develops IFC, and as I saw in many of the presentations that there is that you are using the IFC as a basis for your data exchange. So if you have, we would be really happy to get input from these projects. If you have additional needs, for example, you see that there is some things missing from IFC, or you have any questions regarding IFC in general, we would be really happy to get the input. And at the same time, the Regulatory Information Requirements project is all about creating the kind of the platform for all of you, basically, that you can utilize IFC in the information exchange. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Christian, I think you were next, and then Jan.
Okay, then I can add to two things. First of all, as we are all working with OpenBIM, we are also open with our results, I think, and we also want to publish it. I think one thing we're trying now to separate which parts are really very specific to our country, to Austria, Vienna, and which parts is like really for all the countries. And I think this is also the reason why we are in this group and where we are together, to share our results, to share knowledge, and to make it easier to come forward. And regarding buildingSMART, I'm just now at the buildingSMART steering committee meeting in Rome. That's the reason I'm not in Vienna, and I came a little bit late. And Harald and I am also a member of buildingSMART Austria, and also working in a working group about the digital building process, and also are working and trying to work together with the regulatory room of buildingSMART International to exactly bring this information, this knowledge, this gain we have into the room, into an international process. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Jan, please.
Yeah, first of all, thanks to all the presenters. It was really interesting, and I think it's a really good forum we have here, and a lot of good projects on the way. But I had a question for Christian and the Austrian project. You mentioned that you are using Solibri. I was wondering how you intend to scale it up using Solibri. Would that mean that all the municipalities would need a license for Solibri to do these checks? And also you need to train the people to use Solibri as well?
Right now we are training the people in the Austria and the Viennese building authority. And as a colleague of mine just in the other room used the phrase, to be perfectly honest, we would be happy not to use Solibri, not because Solibri is bad. I think it's a really good software, but we would like to have an open source software for the building authorities, which exactly meets their needs. And I think in all the countries, we have really similar needs. And I think this would be a really nice project to have something really open source, which serves the purpose much better. So right now they're using it because it was the easiest way to make the easier way to make the checks and to program the first rules, but I think they can also easily then be transferred to different software and maybe an open source, which we would much more like. Harald?
Yes, it's Solibri. We use it because it's the only software that have this functionality in checking. And yes, this is what City Vienna say. Okay, we use Solibri because there's not alternative, and I think Solibri has now the Möglichkeit, the possibility. He works together with the city more efficiently, or the city looks for an open source checking rule. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I would really like to have a big open source project so that makes it easier to adapt to all the countries.
I'm sure with all these initiatives, there's plenty of motivation also for software developers and the software community, also the open software community, to start developing tools for this, because yeah, obviously this is what we're all looking for. Exactly. And there are already some solutions out there, but we're piloting them in Accord as well.
Yeah,
thanks.
I think that if I can comment on this, I think that so far that there were many issues that made the checking very tricky, let's say. So, for example, managing the models, having completely good models, and somehow the standards were used. And in these projects, I see that many directions are given that probably will make the management of these models easier. And I could make an hypothesis that in the future, maybe also open source companies will have the opportunity to develop their software further, because now we know that open source companies need some cases some developments also from externals. So the development of open source software is not just straightforward and funded or on purpose. So I think that all the developments of these projects will also support the development of open software.
Okay, thank you. Harald, you raised your hand.
Yes, and I think we use Solibri and the checking templates, and to have to say, yes, it's time to make a new checking rule in other software, but the really most of the time cost was to translate the legal text in the ontology that we can use in checking to define the LOE and the LOG. So the software is important, but when the states have this translating to know, okay, this level of information, this level of geometry I need in the model, and the ontology, so the city can change also software easier. Yes, it's time to make the checking tools in the software, but after the project, I have to say that there's more time is spent in the translated legal text in ontology that you can checking for the really checking in Solidly.
Okay, thank you, Harald. We have one more raised hand. It's Walker. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. In fact, I have two questions. One is rebounds on what was said by Christian Schranz and Timo Henttinen about which part of the work can be used as a common work for all countries or all cities who wants to develop such a digitalized building permit process. Because Timo also spoke about an ontology, how it could be built. So there is certainly a part of the work that can be shared with all the people who are working on this building permit process. And how we can divide the work between what is really local and what is really something that is common for everyone in the process. And my second question is, I'm in France. I'm the chair of buildingSMART France, and our administration is developing also a level 0, level 1 digital process. How do you intend to push your work to other European countries, like a webinar like this, or do you have an intention to create a community of different administration in the European members country to share the information? Or do you intend to see that?
To whom was this question addressed?
Well, the first question was to Christian
to me.
and to you and the others. How do you see what is common and what is different from local side?
Mm-hmm. To answer the first question, which also includes a little bit the second question, is in about 2 weeks, Harald and I will be a little bit closer to your place because we're flying to Zurich and have a meeting with the canton and the city of Zurich. Because they also want to go to the next stage, and then we look how can our work be transferred to a different country, in this case Switzerland, and then we see and we will see which parts of this one are really local, and maybe what do they need to be generalized, because sometimes you have a small part, and if you change it, it can be used in different countries anyway, but therefore we need the input also of different countries. So we try to go this way. And I think what you also mentioned, the second part, is that I think it's really, really important to bring the building authorities together, the motivated at least, because then you get this information also from their side. We're talking with the Viennese one, and when we were talking with the people on the, it's a countryside, like the smaller communities, then you see that they are happy if they have level 1, if they have the digital building submission process, like the PDF files, and then they're discussing about, oh, I have only one small screen with 24 inches instead of 227 inches, and so it's difficult to compare. So you see that the problems on the smaller level or in the smaller communities are completely different to the one we are talking about, digitization, everything. But I still think that it's for them, it was a help to see I'm in level 1, it's like a first step. And now let's see how can we reach level 2, and then they realize we have to work together with other communities, maybe with the regional government, and then we can come much quicker to a good solution. I hope that helps before we see each other, I think at the end of February in Vienna.
Yes, I will. And I will come to see you a day before, I think. But maybe it could be interesting for the community, for ARKCON and for CHEK project, maybe to organize something at the level of region association in Brussels, because the regions are the authorities mainly who also are involved in building permissions. So maybe it could be an idea to have such a webinar with the region federation in Brussels, but it's just naive thinking and listening to all of you and the great work you are doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one more question, and I got a message from Obaid Al-Yobali. So maybe just put your mic on and ask your question.
Yes. Hello, thank you for this initiative. This is Obaid. I would like I have a small question. I work in municipality and also I work in academia and PhD program for GeoBIM implementation. I have seen across many brilliant presentation that many have investigated the BIM environment in a solo environment, but looking to the linking of the GIS and looking further to the idea about the regulation for each zone and going further to compliance based on the differences in zones. So just open question if any of the speakers have examined that, the challenges that is related to the linking of BIM and GIS.
Well, CHEK has a work package dedicated to that. Actually, historically, we got to the investigation of building permit digitalization, starting from the investigation of integration of Geo and BIM. So yeah, I would say that a strong part of CHEK is aiming at developing this part and at solving some of the current issues in the topic. We'll refer to standards. So we'll use mainly 3D city models and CityJML and CityJSON structures probably. Yeah, hopefully we'll have some results.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for your presentations today and also for the very fruitful discussion. Yeah, I think all the presenters will be available for questions afterwards via email and other channels. So I think we can close the session, and thank you very much again. And yeah, see you all soon and a lot of success. Bye-bye.
Judith, I want to use this to thank you and all the organizers, because this is really great forum to discuss everything. So thanks a lot also for your work and for the group who was initiating this.
Thank you very much. Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.